Police in Boulder, Colorado are looking for leads in the case of a little girl found strangled hours after her mother discovered a ransom note saying the child had been kidnapped. Police were trying to comply with the ransom demands when 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey's body was found concealed in the basement of her family home. The girl's parents are a Boulder businessman and a former beauty queen. The victim was last year's Little Miss Colorado.
Today, we delve into the labyrinth of evidence, conflicting theories, and enduring mysteries surrounding the JonBenét Ramsey case. We'll explore the events of that fateful day, the suspects considered, and the impact this tragedy continues to have. December 26, 1996. A quiet Christmas morning in Boulder, Colorado, explodes into a nightmare. 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey, a vibrant child known for her success in child beauty pageants, is found dead in her own home. This wasn't just any tragedy, it was a murder that would captivate the nation and remain unsolved for decades. JonBenét Ramsey was born on August 6, 1990, in Atlanta, Georgia. JonBenét Ramsey, her father, was a successful businessman who presented an image of stability. Patsy Ramsey, her mother, a former beauty queen herself, exuded an air of grace and achievement. With her angelic face and vivacious personality, JonBenét quickly became the darling of the Ramsey family and the pride of her parents. Together, they presented a picture-perfect family, living in a comfortable home in Boulder, Colorado. However, beneath the surface, cracks began to show. JonBenét's participation in numerous child beauty pageants raised questions about the pressures placed on such a young girl. Critics argued that these pageants could be exploitative, sexualizing children, and prioritizing appearance over well-being. Whether these concerns played any role in the events that unfolded remains a matter of speculation. John and Patsy Ramsey, along with their son Burke and daughter JonBenét, appeared to have the picture-perfect life. Their home in Boulder exuded holiday cheer on December 25, 1996. Little did they know, the next morning would shatter their world. The morning of December 26, 1996, dawned with an air of confusion and fear in the Ramsey household. Patsy Ramsey, JonBenét's mother, made a frantic 911 call at 5:52 a.m., reporting her daughter missing from the home on 15th Street, where they lived in, along with JonBenét's father, John, and brother, Burke, who was 9 at that time.
I'm at 15th Street.
What's going on there, ma'am?
We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please.
Explain to me what's going on, okay?
There's a note left and our daughter's gone.
A note was left and your daughter is
Yes.
gone? How old is your daughter?
6 years old. She's blonde. 6 years old.
How long ago was it?
I don't know. I just found the note. And my daughter's
Does it say who took her?
What?
Does it say who took her?
I don't know. There's a ransom note here.
It's a ransom note?
It says SBTC. Victory. Please.
Okay, what's your name? Are you
Patsy Ramsey, I'm the mother. Oh my God. Please.
I'm sending an officer over, okay?
Please.
Do you know how long she's been
No,
gone?
I don't. Please, we just got up and she's not here. Oh my God, please.
Okay,
Please, there's somebody.
I am, honey.
Please.
Take a deep breath for me,
Please,
okay?
hurry.
Patsy?
She claimed to have found a 3-page ransom note demanding $118,000 for JonBenét's safe return, a figure suspiciously close to her husband John Ramsey's recent bonus. The rambling 3-page document outlined specific instructions for the exchange, adding an unsettling layer to the situation. Patsy Ramsey's panicked 911 call marked the beginning of a nightmare that would grip the nation. 2 police officers responded to the 911 call and arrived at the Ramsey home at 5:55 a.m., and they conducted a cursory search of the house, but did not find any sign of forced entry. Officer Rick French went to the basement and came to a door that was secured by a wooden latch. He paused for a moment in front of the door but walked away without opening it. French later explained that he was looking for an exit route used by the kidnapper, which the closed inside peg ruled out. JonBenét's body was later found behind the door. The ransom note became a central piece of evidence, fueling speculation from the very beginning. Investigators debated its authenticity. Was it a genuine attempt to mislead, or a staged act designed to divert attention? The unusual wording and specific ransom amount sparked confusion. It was very unusual for such a note to be written at the crime scene. The police believed that the note was staged because it did not have any fingerprints except for Patsy's and the authorities who had handled it, and because it included an unusual use of exclamation marks and initialisms. The note and a practice draft were written with a pen and notepad from the Ramsey home, and demanded almost the exact amount of money that John had received as a bonus earlier that year. Here, we see excerpts from the ransom note. "We are not happy about kidnapping, but your lifestyle has made this a necessity." This line fueled questions about the perpetrator's motives and potential familiarity with the Ramsey family's finances. Before JonBenét's body was even found, there were many investigative mistakes made. A forensics team was dispatched to the house. The team initially believed that the child had been kidnapped, and JonBenét's bedroom was the only room in the house that was cordoned off to prevent contamination of evidence. No precautions were taken to prevent contamination of evidence in the rest of the house. Meanwhile, friends, victim advocates, and the Ramsey family's minister arrived at the home to show support. Visitors picked up and cleaned surfaces in the kitchen, possibly destroying evidence. The Boulder Police Department also shared evidence they found with the Ramseys and delayed conducting their informal interviews with the parents. As the investigation into JonBenét's disappearance intensified, the eyes of the world turned toward Boulder, where the search for answers seemed to yield only more questions. What had happened to JonBenét on that cold December night? Who could have taken her from the safety of her own home, leaving behind only a cryptic ransom note as a clue? And perhaps most chillingly, was she still alive, awaiting rescue somewhere in the vast expanse of the Colorado wilderness? But all these questions came to an end when at around 1 p.m., Detective Arndt asked John Ramsey and Fleet White, a family friend, to search the house to see if anything seemed amiss. They started their search in the basement. John opened the latched door which Officer French had overlooked and found his daughter's body in one of the rooms. John Ramsey immediately picked up his daughter's body and brought her upstairs, which unfortunately destroyed potential evidence by disturbing the crime scene. The crime scene was disturbingly perplexing. JonBenét's body was found with a garrote around her neck and signs of sexual assault, yet the crime scene seemed staged, leading many to question the authenticity of the ransom note and the circumstances surrounding the murder. A garrote that was made from a length of nylon cord and the broken handle of a paintbrush was tied around JonBenét's neck and had apparently been used to strangle her. Part of the bristle end of the paintbrush was found in a tub containing Patsy's art supplies, but the bottom third of it was never found despite extensive searching of the house by the police in subsequent days. During the autopsy, it was discovered that JonBenét Ramsey had died from asphyxiation due to strangulation, in addition to a skull fracture. Her mouth had been covered in duct tape, and her wrists and neck were wrapped with a white cord. Her torso had been covered in a white blanket. There was no conclusive evidence of rape, as no semen was found on the body, although a sexual assault had occurred. The coroner also found what was believed to be pineapple in JonBenét's stomach. Her parents do not remember giving her any the night before she died, but there was a bowl of pineapple in the kitchen which had her 9-year-old brother Burke's fingerprints on it. However, this meant little since time cannot be attributed to fingerprints. The Ramseys maintained Burke was in his room all night asleep, and there was never any physical evidence to reflect otherwise. Additionally, the Ramseys were reluctant to cooperate with police, though they later said this was because they feared the police would not conduct a full investigation and target at them as easy suspects. However, all three members of the immediate family were questioned by investigators and submitting handwriting samples to compare to the ransom letter. Both John and Burke were cleared of any suspicion of writing the note. Although much was made that Patsy could not be conclusively cleared by her handwriting sample, this analysis was not further supported by any other evidence. The media frenzy surrounding JonBenét's murder was unprecedented. Her participation in child beauty pageants, adorned in elaborate costumes and heavy makeup, drew both fascination and condemnation. Critics decried the exploitation of a young girl, while others were drawn to the sensationalism of the case. News outlets dissected every detail, from the intricacies of the ransom note to the behavior of JonBenét's parents. John and Patsy Ramsey, thrust into the center of a media firestorm, became the focus of intense public scrutiny and police investigation. Their seemingly detached demeanor and public pronouncements, captured by news cameras, fueled speculation that they were hiding something. The contrast between the image of the perfect family they had cultivated and the horrific crime that had taken place in their home painted a confusing picture. The media, hungry for a story, sensationalized the tragedy. Tabloid headlines cast aspersions on the family, portraying them as cold and potentially complicit. This relentless media scrutiny hampered the investigation, making it difficult for witnesses to come forward and potentially contaminating the crime scene with a constant stream of reporters and onlookers. The pressure on the Boulder Police Department to solve the case was immense, but the intense media spotlight made it a delicate dance. JonBenét's older brother, Burke, then 9 years old, also became a subject of interest. Theories swirled about a possible accidental or intentional act by Burke, fueled in part by some suggestive statements made by a neighbor about Burke's behavior in the days leading up to the murder. However, authorities repeatedly cleared him, maintaining there was no evidence to implicate him. The psychological impact of being ostracized and suspected in such a public way on a young boy must have been immense, adding another tragic layer to this already complex story. Patsy and John Ramsey were vilified by some, accused of orchestrating a cover-up to protect themselves or their son, Burke, from suspicion. The family vehemently maintained their innocence, insisting they were victims of a botched investigation and media sensationalism. A grand jury was convened beginning September 15, 1998, to consider indicting the Ramseys for charges relating to the case. In 1999, the grand jury returned a true bill to charge the Ramseys with placing the child at risk in a way that led to her death and with obstructing an investigation of murder due to John Ramsey's tampering with the crime scene, based on the probable cause standard applied in such grand jury proceedings. But Boulder County District Attorney Alex Hunter did not prosecute them because he did not believe that he could meet the higher standard of proving guilt beyond a reasonable doubt that is required for a criminal conviction. Despite extensive questioning, forensic analysis of recovered fibers and hairs, and public appeals, the Boulder Police Department struggled to make significant headway. The lack of a clear suspect and the absence of a murder weapon were significant hurdles. However, there was plenty of physical evidence to back up the intruder theory. A boot print found beside JonBenét's body did not belong to any of the family members. There was a broken basement window that was considered the most likely entry point for an intruder. There was also DNA taken from drops of blood found on her underwear. The floors of the Ramsey home were carpeted, which made it possible for an intruder to carry JonBenét down the stairs without waking up the family. DNA evidence found at the crime scene, initially believed to hold the key to solving the case, only served to deepen the mystery. While DNA belonging to an unknown male was discovered, efforts to match it to any suspects or individuals in law enforcement databases proved fruitless. The presence of this unidentified DNA continues to fuel speculation and debate among armchair detectives and forensic experts. In recent years, much of the investigation has focused on the DNA profiles generated from the underwear sample and the touch DNA developed from the long johns. The underwear profile was entered into the National DNA Database in 2003. No matches have been found. In the fall of 2006, the case was transferred to the Boulder District Attorney's Office. The district attorney at the time, Mary Lacey, concurred with the federal prosecutor's opinion that the intruder's theory was more credible than the Ramseys murdering their daughter. Lacey led investigators to develop a DNA profile from the touch DNA left on the long johns. But in 2006, the case took a new turn. A former schoolteacher, John Mark Carr, confessed out of the blue to the 1996 strangulation of JonBenét in graphic sexual detail. Carr was arrested in Thailand, where he'd been living on the lam after facing child pornography charges in the U.S. The now 51-year-old initially brought himself into the mess by reaching out to a University of Colorado Boulder professor named Michael Tracy over email in regards to a documentary Tracy was making on the case. Once those emails took a disturbing turn, revealing the grown man's sexual fascination with JonBenét, Tracy reported Carr to the police, who arrested him in Bangkok as a possible suspect. He was immediately flown to Boulder for questioning, but was ultimately cleared after his DNA failed to match the profile of an unknown male found on the waistband of JonBenét's long johns. Again, in 2019, Gary Oliva, a convicted sex offender, seemingly confessed to JonBenét's murder in a series of disturbing jailhouse letters and poems, claiming he killed the 6-year-old by accident. Oliva had been obsessed with JonBenét for years and had had hundreds of images of the 6-year-old on his phone when he was arrested in 2016. What's more, Oliva had lived near JonBenét at the time of her murder and even attended a vigil for the 1-year anniversary of her death. But to this day, Gary Oliva has never been charged with the murder. Despite a massive investigation spanning years and costing millions of dollars, law enforcement struggled to make headway in the case. Suspects came and went, from family acquaintances to intruders, yet solid evidence remained elusive. Compounding the challenge were missteps by investigators, including the mishandling of evidence and leaks to the media, which further clouded the search for justice. The legacy of JonBenét Ramsey endures, a poignant reminder of a life cut tragically short and a mystery that defies resolution. Her memory lives on in the hearts of those who continue to seek justice on her behalf, determined to uncover the truth behind one of the most perplexing cases in modern history. Until that truth is revealed, the enigma of JonBenét Ramsey will continue to haunt and captivate generations to come.